Tell us about a time when you received negative feedback in clinicals. Or please tell us about a time when you made a mistake at work. Both of these questions can be super intimidating in a new grad nursing interview, so today we're going to talk about how to prepare a really great answer that you're really comfortable with so that you're not thrown off by this type of question in your interview. My favorite answer that I've ever heard to this question came from my friend. I was helping her prepare for her first interview, and she had an answer for this question that went something like, when I was in my preceptorship, I was on nights and I'd done all my responsibilities. I was just talking with my preceptors about 3 a.m, and I noticed a patient who was very unsteady that belonged to another nurse try to get up and go to the bathroom, and I rushed over and helped them to the bathroom to make sure they didn't fall, and then I waited with them and then safely got them back to bed. And my preceptor said, look, I know that you're a team player and you want to help other nurses, but you need to learn to set boundaries with other nurses, otherwise your patients are not going to get the best care. And I asked what she meant by that, and she explained that in the future, the more appropriate thing to do would have been to get the patient safely to the bathroom and then tell that patient's nurse, by the way, the nursing assistant is waiting with your patient in the bathroom. They seemed really unsteady. I just wanted to let you know that they're there and they're safe. And I'm glad that she told me that, because even though I really pride myself on, being a team player and wanting to help the flow of the unit and help other nurses, I wouldn't want that to be something that would affect the care of my patients. So it was a really great learning experience. I love this answer because she shows that she took direction well, right? She didn't get defensive. She actually listened and said what she would do differently going forward. And she really didn't admit to doing anything wrong, right? The worst thing that she did was help another nurse's patient potentially not fall. So don't use that exact answer, but if you can think of something from your clinical experience that kind of mirrors that type of situation, that would be a really great answer that you could keep in your back pocket for this type of question. So if you can't think of any mistake that you've made that you feel comfortable talking about in an interview, that's totally okay. Just take a second and say something like, that's a really great question. I can't think of any mistake that I've made right now, but when I think about what's important surrounding that situation and how I want to handle it when it comes up, this is what comes to mind. And then there are 2 ideas that I want to give you that you can play with and figure out how you want to talk about the idea. The first idea is that you could say something like, I know that it can be very hard to give negative feedback to someone, so when that day comes that someone has to do that for me, I want to respect how hard it might be to do that and really honor what they're saying and listen, because it's very likely that they're trying to save me and my patients from a mistake that they've either seen before or maybe made themselves. So I want to make sure that I know that it doesn't make you a bad nurse if you make a mistake, that the important thing is to listen to what other people have to share and to really consider what they're saying and see what changes you can make in the interest of keeping your patients safe. The second idea that you can say something about is the idea that you're really grateful for the culture that healthcare has surrounding mistakes. So you could say something like, I haven't made a mistake yet, and I know that even great nurses make mistakes and still learn things every day, and I feel very grateful that I work in an industry that allows people to talk openly about mistakes that they've made, because when it's not punitive and the culture is just to take a look at the system and see where mistakes are being made, it puts the patient's safety first, because people are able to openly talk about mistakes and errors, And not a lot of industries have that. So I'm very grateful that I work in a system that prioritizes the patient's safety and has a very open culture about talking about mistakes. So those are two ideas that you can kind of play with and see maybe if there are talking points that you want to use if you can't think of a mistake that you want to talk about in an interview. Let me know what questions you guys have about this, or if you have a mistake that maybe you think would fit for this question and you want to see how it might come across to an interviewer.